Welcome back to my channel. I am Andrew, the host of Profila Binding Shoe Reviews. And for today, we're going to be taking a look at one of my all-time favorite shoes from Allen Edmonds, and that is the University shoe. We're going to be taking a look at three different colors: the dark chewy, the walnut, and the dark brown version. One of the reasons that I really like this design is because it's highly unique, and a lot of people may not even notice the subtle difference between this shoe and a wingtip or a cap toe unless you point it out to them. If you were to take a wingtip like the McAllister and combine it with a cap toe like the Strand, what you would get is the University. The U-wing is just one of those rare designs that you won't come across very often. I know that Alden had their own version of a U-wing some years back. I'm not sure what the name of this model is. And I also know that Carmina has offered various U-wing designs in both shoe and boot formats. And I'm sure there are other makers that I'm completely unaware of that have offered this design. But the point is that you just don't come across this style very often. Allen Edmonds has offered the University for quite a while, but it's one of those styles that comes and goes and it's not always available. Now, where did the University come from? The original design supposedly dates back many decades ago, but I've never been able to find a picture of it. There was a web gem called the Palm Drive, which preceded the University. It was basically the same thing, but it had a leather sole instead of Daynight. The original University was made on the 333 last. For the remainder of this video, I'm just going to refer to it as the 3 last, so I don't have to say 333 or 333 every time, because that's going to become annoying. The 3 last was designed to be similar to many European lasts, as it has a more square toe shape and also some extra length. Even though it is longer, the heel to joint measurement is still consistent with other lasts, as the extra length in this toe area is just for show. I find it does fit true to size, but the ball area feels a little more flat than the 65. Some feel that it is wider in the ball area than the 65, but I disagree. I think it's consistent. It is a little bit wider in the waist or middle portion of the shoe though. The heel area is snug just like the 65 last, but the instep area has more room to offer. This was one of those divisive lasts that some really loved and others just despised it. It was also the longest last that I've ever seen from AE, at least since I started buying shoes in 2015. The University was originally offered in walnut, chewy, black, and in bourbon for a web gem. This dark brown version made for Joseph Aboud was built on the 3 last. These were factory seconds I got from a tent sale in 2017. But basically there was nothing wrong with them other than a slight imperfection on the footbed, which in no way affects how they wear. These feature a unique Poron insole that is softer than the other kinds of Poron, and the lining is the same as the Independence lining. However, the leather upper is just the standard brown leather and not the Independence collection leather. The sole on this version and all versions of the University is Daynight. So if you can't stand Daynight, you know to avoid this shoe. You can see how they have creased quite a bit over the years, and they don't look the same as they did in 2017. But overall, I think they've held up pretty well. The first version of the University I owned was the walnut version, but I made the mistake of thinking I could go up a width from my usual size because that's all they had left. Bad idea. The 3 last is definitely not like the 65 in that you cannot just go up a width without noticing much difference. The pair I had ended up being way too wide in the middle of the shoe, and because of this, it was very uncomfortable to walk in because my feet were always moving around. Now I can just hear some of you asking right now, you're asking me, why not just use an insert or tongue pads? Well, I've tried both of those things in the past, but neither of them work out for me. With tongue pads, they're just very uncomfortable. And with an insert, it makes the shoe feel awkward and sometimes unnatural. So I have this thing that I only wear a shoe if I can wear it organically in the way that it was intended. After the original University was discontinued, they eventually started making it on the 1943 last. The 1943 last is very different than the 3 because although it has a similar square toe shape and design, it's the exact opposite in that it's very short, or I should say it's one of the shortest lasts, similar to the 511 in terms of length. The heel to joint measurement, at least for me, goes slightly ahead of the widest part. This is one reason why you'll find many men will go up a half size in the 43. It's also known as a problem last for many people. I've heard numerous men complain that this last crushes their small toes and that they simply cannot wear it at all. It does not do this to me, but it's definitely one of those lasts you have to try out for yourself. A funny thing happened back in 2019. For years, I had been asking the A.E. Charleston outlet store if they had any universities in walnut that had been built on the 43 last. For months and months, nothing happened, and I assumed that they were long gone. But then, in a hilarious twist of fate, they reached out to me and informed me that there was a flood of Walnut University shoes that had arrived in the warehouse in Port Washington. Where they came from exactly, I'm not sure. It's possible they might have been returns from Nordstrom, but that's not confirmed. They were also selling them at such a low price that they were basically paying me to have them. So I couldn't have been more excited. I actually ordered 2 pair in my usual size, but both pairs ended up being too tight. So I went up a half size and it fit perfectly. The walnut color was the only one where I had to go up a half size. These were not factory seconds, but they did have some noticeable flaws with the burnishing, and there were some odd spots here and there. The pinking and cutting on this version was not as clean as my original University, and that's another reason why I was so sad to see that version have to go. But overall, I was satisfied, especially for what I paid. From what I know, I think they are mostly sold out of the walnut color, but it never hurts to reach out and try just to make sure. The last version which I own is the dark chewy, which was also made on the 43 last. These have turned out to be a perfect travel shoe for anything work related. You can dress these up or down and they look great in either situation. And the Poron insole is really comfortable in this pair for some reason, even more than the walnut version. Unlike the walnut version, when I purchased my usual size, they fit really well, although they did start off a little bit snug at the beginning, but they felt great after break-in. I want to also use this shoe as an example to show what a real factory second looks like. These had real flaws in 2 ways. The Daynight sole, for example, had a lot of marks all along the welt and midsole area. Yes, that's really how the shoes looked when they were new. The other problem was that one of the shoes had the lining damaged at the heel, which you can see here. This doesn't affect the fit or the wear at all, and I can't feel it in any way. But I'm just showing you this so you're aware. These are the kinds of flaws that sometimes you'll get when you order seconds. There's a reason why seconds are cheaper, and sometimes this is what you get. Sometimes when buying seconds, you get a shoe that looks like a first quality shoe, and other times you get something that looks like this. So just be aware. The great thing about all 3 versions of this shoe is that they can all be dressed up or dressed down, and they all look great in any of those situations. And the Daynight sole is a great option if you're going outside when it's wet. I hope that Allen Edmonds will continue bringing this shoe back more often, as it is truly one of their most unique shoes that they have. I want to also point out that there are still some dark chewy versions of the University available for sale right now. But you better act fast if you're interested, because there's no guarantee these are going to last very long, especially at clearance prices. You get a lot of shoe for the money with this model, so keep that in mind. Well, I hope you found this interesting and helpful. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.